on my hand here is Audeze's latest flagship. This is the Audeze LCD5 review. I'm going to share you my thoughts on it, and really, this is quite a fantastic one. I'm Richard, and before I start, I'd like to thank AV1 for providing me this loaner set. By the time you see this video, it has probably been returned. So if you want to have a listen to this, go down to their shop or visit down the link below. Now, this is the Audeze LCD5. This is the latest flagship from Audeze, and it does look like an Audeze when you look at it far away. But when you move it closer, you'll notice that this is a smaller version of whatever Audeze they have. It looks smaller, it feels significantly lighter. Things have changed a bit from how they angle their plugs to quite a bit of things. But now, before I go in depth into everything for this headphone, let me give you a short summary of what I feel about this. To me, this is quite a comfortable headphone. It is very light, very easy to wear. And most importantly, for the sound signature, I felt that this is a very good, relaxing headphone. Not so relaxing till like it's totally laid back kind of feel, and that's how I feel about some of the older Audezes. But this one was just nice. It was relaxing enough. I could do work with it. You know, it doesn't distract me. And the sound quality is very nice. You really do enjoy the music while doing your things. And also at lower volumes, which is very important when you are listening for long durations and, you know, just doing your stuff, this is fantastic. I mean, for a top of the line headphone, this is fantastic performance when it comes to low volume. I'll talk about it more in the sound quality later. But if you ask me, this is probably not my first choice as the top of the line headphone, because my expectation is a bit more exciting, a bit more, I would say, special. And I would say as this LCD5 doesn't feel as special to me when it comes to sound quality wise. It is very good, just not the first on my list when it comes to special sounding headphones. But that's about it. Let's talk about the other aspects first before I dive more deeply into the sound quality of the LCD5. First, this is obviously a LCD5 looking headphone. I mean, this looks like any other LCD. But there is some changes. It looks smaller, and when you hold it, it feels significantly lighter. They have changed the material they use for the LCD. For good or for bad, let me explain why. Now, firstly, I think the plugs and stuff are a little bit different in terms of position. This is a 2-cup. You know, it does clamp on your head a little bit. There is some clamp force if you are the type who don't like clamp force. There is these 2 poles here that you can adjust the up and down. It does swivel a bit. And the pads themselves are quite thick. You can see here, they are quite thick and they are angled. Now, the cups are made out of some sort of resin. If you can see, this is like some, I don't know, metal or plastic grill with resins. And I think if you go online and read, Audeze actually changed the drivers to a single-sided magnet. And all these really contributed to it being a much lighter headphone. They also use carbon fiber on the bands on top and some sort of thin leather material here to just give you a bit more comfort. Now, overall, I do feel that the Audeze LCD5 looks a bit cheaper than it should be. For a top of the line headphone, I think there is some loss in the premium feel of the headphone itself. I mean, weight is one thing. Some people do equate weight to quality, but I see it more from an aesthetic aspect, where I feel that the resin just don't feel as premium as looking at wood cups. And then the grills at the side, somehow I'm not sure whether is it plastic or metal. It is nicely finished, but you know, it doesn't look too premium. But most importantly is the bands that hold a cup. This looks like, I don't know, affordable engineering plastic. It's probably very durable, but it looks very affordable. Doesn't look very premium. Now, you may be wondering why am I saying such things? But that's because this is a really expensive headphone. If you go online and see, this is 4,500 USD. And, you know, buying a luxury product, you do expect a luxury product. But for some reason now, the LCD5, on first glance, just don't feel as luxurious as it should be, even though it is actually very luxurious. Really very luxurious. I guess they could improve a little bit by, you know, having something like carbon fiber bands here, and maybe at the side, you know, these grills here to make it look more sophisticated, like you know, the Abyss do it a little bit more. I mean, these are smaller things, but paying the price, I think they could do it just a bit better. But you know, that is really just the aesthetic complaints, and I'm just being really picky here because of its price range. But if not, I think overall it's a very comfortable headphone and it's very light. This, I believe, is a good 300 grams lighter than its predecessors. So on the head, and when you wear it, let me show you. It feels really comfortable. I can wear this all day long without any issues. Now, I think my head is on the medium to big size in terms of width, so there is some clamp force for me. But the headbands do bend quite nicely, up, down, left, right, and opens up like this. So I have no complaints. And the pose here, I can adjust quite a bit. I mean, the amount of adjustment they give you for the pose is pretty good. So I don't have any complaints when it comes to fitting of the headphones on my head, as you can see here. But that's really about it. Okay, now, some people may prefer those kind of headbands that conforms to your head. Personally, I do like headbands that hold their settings, because I know that every time I wear it, it will probably be in the same position and therefore give me the same quality. So I think this is a personal preference, but I do like this quite a bit. Now, I have the most atrocious headphone to wear. This is the Audeze 1266. This is miles better. Now, among the headphones I've tried so far, I think only the DCA Stealth series or the DCA Expense is nicer to wear than this. I mean, depends on whether you like Hi-Fi Man's form factor. I think Hi-Fi Man is also really comfortable, but this one should be, to me at least, not too far from the Hi-Fi Man. And maybe only the DCA Stealth feels a little bit more comfortable because of the paddings and of course these head conforming type of headbands, which is really nice. Now, that's really about it for the form and build of it. I think, as I said, the only complaint I have is that sometimes it doesn't look as premium as the previous versions, and that's about it. Now, when it comes to the cables, which is this one. Now, the cables here are the stock cables. Now, when AV1 loaned me this copy, they didn't actually provide me the box, so I can't show you the box itself. The cables themselves are quite standard. Dual mini XLRs, as you can see here. And then the cable ends with a 1/4 inch, I believe, standard stereo head. I have to say that for high-end headphone like this, I did ask AV1 whether, you know, alternate cable was provided, and they said no, this is the cable provided by Audeze. I have to say I'm a bit disappointed, because for a headphone of this price and, you know, this quality, I expected a balanced cable at least. You know, how do I put it? If you're going to pay this amount of money for a headphone, you'll probably have an amplifier, and it most likely has a balance, be it a 4.4 or a XLR balance, you know. I just think they're providing a stereo head. Yes, there are headphone amps like the Cord Dave, and this is quite efficient, you know, that runs on these kind of plugs. But many good amps out there would be running on XLR or 4.4 balance, and I think this headphone would sound a little bit better with those cables. Normally the balance stages are a touch better than their unbalanced stages. So really, that's it for the cables themselves. Now let's talk about the sound quality. I have to honestly first say that I am more into the slightly more neutral or even sometimes cooling type of sound, a bit more exciting type. I wouldn't like treble heavy music, of course. That's not me. I don't like treble heavy music, but I prefer more of the airy, neutral, high clarity kind of sound. While this one is a bit different, and I will talk about it in this review. So if you ask me, my personal preference is still something like the Audeze sound signature, or even the Susvara type, you know, be very airy and more of the cool neutral side. This one is more on the slightly thicker, slightly warmer side, more mid-centric sound compared to the other headphones that I tried and the headphones that I own. But let's talk about it, right? First, when it comes to soundstage, I think this is something like I will call it as a mid-size hall effect. Why I say hall is because it doesn't feel like it's constrained inside the headphone. Unlike if you hear something like the DCA Stealth, which is a closed back, it feels a bit more constrained. This feels open, especially when you listen to orchestra tracks, like those from Final Fantasy. It feels like it's an open stage. Or when you hear singer sing, it feels more effortless because there is no walls. So it is more of a hall type of effect, but I would say this is a mid-size. It's not very big, not a Beast 1266 big, not Susvara big, not HD 800 big, but it's big. Bigger than, say, I'll say as the DCA Stealth, it feels slightly bigger than that. Similar to the Diana, or maybe slightly bigger than Diana type of feel. So I think this is a mid-size hall effect when it comes to soundstage. Now, the sound itself, I would say, is wide sideways. There is some depth, but the mids can be quite in front of you. The vocals especially can be quite in front of you. So, I mean, this is the stage I feel, but you know, when the singer sing, it's very focused in the center, but it spreads out really nicely. I like the effect, but no, I also do prefer maybe a slightly bigger vocal than the one that is just stuck in front of me. That's how I feel. But not to say that this is unenjoyable. In fact, if you are listening at low volumes, this make it very enjoyable because you just want that soothing sound in the middle that really, you know, brings out the, I'll say, quality of the music that, you know, the LCD5 delivers. Now, when it comes to separation, I'll say as the LCD5 for treble separation is one of the best I've heard. You can literally follow every single instrument in the music, full stop. If I play the piano tunes from Anyman's, you can follow like all the little things and piano keys that are being pressed. And if you do something more complex like orchestra, Final Fantasy orchestras, you can hear the small little instruments. Or you hear something like Shatter Me. That song itself has many parts where there's a lot of instrument playing. This guy separates it really nicely. Or if you hear something, let's say, You Are So Be, which sometimes on some headphones can feel a bit congested. I think this headphone does separate it nicely. Never feeling congested. Quite effortless in the entire song itself. When it comes to separation, I think this is one of the higher performing headphones I've heard. Now, when it comes to resolution, I think this one does have good amount of resolution. I feel that I can hear any small little details there is in the song. I heard some from like Ed Sheeran, where I think it's bad recording, you know, because I was just enjoying this headphone, like, you know, reading novels or relaxing while doing work. And then you can hear all these small little details that comes out in front of you. So it's quite interesting. I didn't purposely go and, you know, find those details, but it's quite apparent in this headphone. Bad recording sound, really bad on this headphone itself. When it comes to transient response, I think that this headphone has relatively good transient response. Now, this is not the most snappy headphone. I will give that to the Abyss Diana, but it is up there with the best. Everything feels very tight when they should be, and I don't feel any issues when it comes to transient response. Now, the headphones, in addition to all these qualities, have also a little bit of a warm tone and a smoother tone compared to other headphones. I feel they are a bit more relaxing compared to many other headphones, and they sound really good in low volume. They don't ever sound, I would say, as strained. That's how I put it, strained. Because other headphones at lower volume feel like they lack energy, lack power, but on the LCD5, it sounds pretty good. Now, that is it for the general sound quality. Now, let's talk about lows. And I'll say as for the lows, when you're talking about a very low bass itself, this thing does produce fantastic texture on it, especially with bass guitars or like, I'll say as some sort of wind instrument that produce bass. It sounds really nice on this, like really, really nice. Or synthetic bass, there is texture to it. It feels really good to listen. I would say it's not like the Abyss where you literally can feel the bass, but you can really hear and feel all the lower bass notes compared to many other headphones out there. For the bass impact, I would say this is okay. It's not the most impactful, nor the least impactful. This is on par with what I experienced from DCAs and from, like, say, I would say it's most other brands. Maybe the Abyss is more, maybe the, let's say, the Audeze's. No, this is not the Audeze, right? The old Audeze's feel a bit lesser in impact than compared to the new Audeze. And let's say if you compare to something of, let me get a headphone that's recommended. The Focal series, I would say as those have a slightly more impact than this headphone itself. Okay, now that is for bass itself. good texture, relatively good amount of impact. Not the most impactful, but I really like the low textures that this headphone produce. When it comes to the mids on general is very natural sounding most of the time. And for vocals, it is a bit warm, a bit smooth, and I do like it. Now, because of this slightly warm and smooth type of vocals, it doesn't feel super airy, which is something I like for female vocals that sing especially Japanese J-pop songs. But that being said, no complaints. A smoother tone like this is very enjoyable when I just want to relax and listen to the music. And if you listen to something more of like, I will say, what's her name? Adele, yes. When you listen to something to like Adele, she sounds great on this. Her voice is slightly lower, smoother, and when there is force, it does come out nicely on this headphone itself. Also great for the J-pop that I usually like to listen to. Then, when it comes to the highs, this is more of a mellow side headphone. It is not very sparkly. There is definitely no sibilance at all because it's not even sparkly to me. Not even a, I would say as the treble is always there, but it's just never super sparkling when you listen to all the little, especially what I call the instruments that produce those kind of sound like cymbals and stuff. It never feels sparkly at all. It feels just nice. It feels correct. But it lacks excitement. So that's something, it lacks the excitement from the treble region. Makes it very enjoyable though, at least to me. But if you are looking a bit more excitement in those regions, I think this may not be the headphone for you. And really that's about it for sound quality. Overall, I think this is a very relaxed sounding headphone. I do enjoy it. For vocals, it gives a slight warmth to it. And for the bass, I love its low bass textures. And for generally the feel of the music, I think this is very, very good. Now, there is one flaw in the sound, and I don't know where in the mix it is. Sometimes it can feel a bit nasally. Sometimes it can feel a little bit weird. It's somewhere in the mix itself, because when I hear Eddieman's playing most of the piano tunes, sometimes he just runs through the entire keys, and there's just like somewhere in between that feels a bit weird on this headphone. I just cannot pinpoint where is it. And also, as I said, if you are into the very exciting sound, especially for sparkly trebles or high impact bass, this headphone is not for you. The Abyss 1266 is for you. And that's about it for today's review. This is the Audeze LCD5. Once again, I thank everyone for it. I enjoyed this headphone, and this may be something I may consider in future, especially if I want something more relaxing to listen to my day-to-day music. That's about it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.